Let's welcome in the host, of course, record on CBS Sports Network, our good friend Michael Breed here, getting us ready for the PGA Championship. Look, Michael, one of the biggest stories is who is not playing. Defending champ Phil Mickelson. Last year, I mean, this was a magical tournament. Watching him win, we're going to get into all the things that have happened in the past year. But first, let's listen to what Rory McIlroy had to say about Phil not defending his title.
This should be a celebration, right? I mean, he won a major championship at 50 years old. It was, possibly his last, big moment in the game of golf. And, he should be there. I think he should be here this week and celebrating what a monumental achievement he achieved last year. So it's unfortunate. It's sad. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what else I can say.
And just sort of to put this into perspective, nobody has missed defending their title at a major since 2015. Rory had to miss the Open then, but he was dealing with an injury. So, Michael, what do you make of his comments and Phil not being there this week?
Look, I think we all would want to celebrate what Phil did last year, the unthinkable victory at nearly 51. I think he was 3 weeks shy of his 51st birthday. But at the same time, it's hard to celebrate the situation when we're in the situation that we're in. And the situation that we're in is certainly something that's got a big dark cloud over Phil Mickelson. And it's all anybody's talking about these first couple of days here is this impending book that was written by Alan Shipnuck. That's coming out. And at the same time, I don't know that if Phil was at Southern Hills that we would be celebrating. And I think every single question that would be directed at Phil would be 5 times what we're getting right now. Rory's asked the question about it. Others have been asked the question about it. Ricky spoke about it. Ricky spoke at length about the Live Golf on in his press conference yesterday. All these players are being asked. Taylor Gooch spoke about it. And I just think that if Phil's got to answer this at some point. The question is it the right time to do it at a PGA Championship? I just don't think you could celebrate Ricky's or Rory's words. I don't know that you could celebrate Phil Mickelson with all that's around him.
And maybe put it to bed a little bit earlier, but we're not going to find that out because Phil's not going to be there. So let's talk about what we do get to expect this weekend. Southern Hills, it's gorgeous. Tiger won at this course. He won the PGA back in 2007. What are some of the biggest changes we've seen since then to the course?
Well, let me think here. Everything is different. They have changed the surrounds. Gil Hance has come in and done a renovation or a restoration, bringing it back to the original design of a Perry Maxwell in 1936. And so what they've done is that they've extended the greens a little bit to the edge, and the edges have some fall off. They've altered this was a golf course in 36, had a lot of short grass. It has a lot of short grass now. In 2007, it didn't. It had a lot of trees, not a lot of short grass. Now, it doesn't have a lot of trees, and it has a lot of short grass. So you're going to see greens that are going to repel the golf ball. The greens are going to average about 5,000 square feet in length at the same in its totalness, 5,000 square feet. But at the same time, it's going to play very small. It's not going to play. It's going to play like almost Pebble Beach, that averages about 3,800 square feet. In the average green size. And so what I think you're going to see is players playing a little bit more conservatively in their approach shots to the hole locations. I don't think they're going to take on these edges. And if they do take on edge hole locations and they miss, they could end up 30, 40, 50 yards away from the hole location. And also too, what they've done is there's a creek that runs through here, Joe Creek. It's on 13 or 14 of the holes, of the 18 holes that are out there. And particularly around the greens, you're going to see golf balls that will miss the green and near this creek that surrounds the property. And so what I think you're going to see is players shooting away from hole locations, which I do think also too will tend to change the scoring. I had originally thought the scoring was going to be sort of high teens. I think that I'm going to back off on that and say it's going to be kind of mid-teens, maybe 13, 14, 15 under par to win.
Well, 13 over par is what Tiger Woods had at the Masters. I want to talk about Tiger really quickly and just throw that at you since he did win this back in 2007 on this course. Look, he's not going to be dealing with the hills like he did at Augusta. He says that he feels stronger. He feels better than he did at the Masters. What is your outlook for Tiger this week?
Well, I think there's a couple things. I think, first of all, you play a golf course called Southern Hills. You know that you're going to have a tough walk. Is it the walk that you have at Augusta National? No. But at the same time, it's difficult. And also, too, it's a major. So emotionally, you're a little bit more invested in this. And I think that's one of the things that Tiger battles and will battle is the fatigue factor. Is he stronger? Absolutely. And speaking with some other players that have seen Tiger, everybody says he's moving a whole lot better. So the anticipation is Tiger's going to be in a much better physical condition than he was a month and change ago at Augusta National. I think that means that he's going to have a better weekend. Does it mean that he can win? Yeah, he can win. Is he going to win? I don't think he's going to win. I think that this whole thing, and I've said this a couple of times on our radio show and also too on CBS Sports Network, I believe that this is all adding up to a big win of Tiger Woods at the Open Championship at the home of golf at St. Andrews. I think he's going to have a nice week, but I don't think he's going to get it done with a victory.
I'll look forward to the Open. That's something to look forward to right there.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about Jordan Spieth here. Look, we have this in our rundown as still looking for career Grand Slam. We have to remember Jordan Spieth is only 28 years old still. So yes, he would need the PGA to complete the career Grand Slam. He is the 5th betting favorite here, 16-1 odds. I mean, I feel like you sort of have to feel okay about Jordan going into this week. He's been in Dallas for the Byron. He finished 2nd there. Him and JT went up to Tulsa. They did a little practice round. They've been up there back and forth. He's been around family and friends. How do you feel about Jordan heading into this week?
I feel better about Jordan than I felt about him in a long time. And I'm going to say 2-3 years. I know he had a great year last year, but at the same time, I didn't expect him to win major championships. Now, with what he's done, the renovation of this golf swing, talking about a renovation at Southern Hills, a renovation of a golf swing that now is creating a little bit more club head speed. He's hitting the ball farther than he's hit the ball in his career. He's also much more accurate with the tee shots, and his approach game has really picked up. And now all of a sudden, this rededication to his putter after missing the cut at Augusta National, and all of a sudden he picks up the win at RBC and then a 2nd place finish last week. And I thought that the 3-wood that he hit into the hole last week at the AT&T Byron Nelson on 18, I thought that he got an unfortunate break there. So when you add it all up, there's a lot of reasons why you would feel confident about Jordan Spieth. And if the wind does pick up, I think that's going to be favorable to a guy who grew up not far from here down in Texas and likes to move that ball and keep it a little bit lower. So I kind of feel like all this adds up to this is going to be a very nice week for Jordan Spieth.
I agree. Last major, he won the Open back in 2017. Let's look at a couple head-to-head matchups here. And it's hard to pick between these guys. We got Scottie Scheffler versus Justin Thomas. Scottie Scheffler, of course, won the Masters. He got a little tune-up there at the Byron. JT looking for his 1st win of the season, but his 2nd major win overall. He won the PGA back in 2017. How do you feel about these two guys going up against one another?
I love JT this week. I think he's got a lot more confidence with the putting. He had a fabulous putting week last week at the Nelson, and I think that in talking with his coach John Graham, it seems like this new putter that he has put back into his bag. He brought it out at the Scottish Open last year. He didn't quite like it. Then he brought his gamer back, and now he's reintroduced this putter, and all of a sudden he's starting to putt a lot better and has a lot more confidence. And I think this will take over the name of the gamer. So I think the putting is going to get a lot better. I think he's going to have a much better week this week putting, and I think the ball striking has been fantastic for him. And so I think the only thing that's missing from his resume this year is the win. And I really do think that Justin Thomas is going to be right there on Sunday. My expectation is that he's going to be in that top 5 when it comes to that final hole, that final 9 holes this week at Southern Hills. And who knows what happens, but I think he's going to have a really good week. I like him over Scheffler.
JT, the 4th favorite there with 14-1 odds to win. All right, let's talk about another matchup here. Rory going up against Jon Rahm. Rory, of course, has won this tournament 2 times in the past. Rahm coming off his win down in Mexico. What about this one?
This one is the hardest one for me. I look at both of these players and I think they both could win very easily. I think that this golf course favors them. It's a high ball hitter golf course, and both of them do that beautifully. It also is one of those golf courses where a statistic that you don't hear people talk about a lot, greens in regulation, is going to be a really important one, and that's where I give the edge to Jon Rahm. Jon Rahm is number 1 on the tour in strokes gained off the tee. He's also first on tour in greens in regulation, hitting almost 74% of his greens. And so when it all comes down to, look, I think this is going to be nearly a head-to-head matchup, but I do think that Jon Rahm picking up the win in Mexico, figuring out the putting, he's got the ball striking all figured out. And I think the other thing too is these runoff areas around the green are going to favor his wedge play. I don't think you're going to see players putting from off the greens or even playing hybrids off the greens. I think you're going to see players playing these shots that are not flop shots because they're going to be on uphill lies. I think you're going to see players that have a lot of spin around the green. Jon Rahm is that guy, and I just think it is a very, very, very slight edge to Jon Rahm.
Very slight edge to Jon Rahm. Overall, in the past couple of minutes, we talked about 5 guys who have the chance to win this week. So let's get it, Michael. Your pick to win the PGA Championship.
I think it's Jon Rahm's turn. I really do. I think that he is playing freer golf than he played before. When he was world number 1, I think that was a little bit difficult for him. We saw some antsy behavior out of him through the course of that time and into this year when he lost that to Scottie Scheffler. I think all of a sudden that was a weight off of his back. And I think now what you're seeing is a guy that has the win. He's a little bit more confident, a little bit more comfortable. He's not agitated. And I think he's going to go out there and he's going to play free golf. And that free golf means great golf. And I think Jon Rahm gets it done.
And by the weekend, they'll be dealing with a lot cooler weather than they did in Dallas. Temperatures in the upper 60s, low 70s there. Michael, it's going to be a great week. Enjoy the PGA. We'll talk to you soon.
48 hours from the second major of the season, the PGA Championship at Southern Hills in Tulsa. Scottie Scheffler, the world number 1 and favorite, coming off a win at the first major this season, the Masters. Jon Rahm, the second betting favorite, coming off his first win of the season at the last tournament he played in, the Mexico Open, a couple of weeks ago. And those two are grouped together with the number 3 player in the world, Colin Morikawa. And here are the rest of the favorites at Caesars Sportsbook. Morikawa is 18-1, but Scheffler leading the way 11-1, followed by Rahm at 12-1. Rory McIlroy is in a group with Jordan Spieth and Tiger Woods. And Tiger not found on this list of favorites. He is currently 60-1 to win the PGA. Let's get some winning picks from the host of the First Cut podcast, Rick Gehman. And Rick, usually no value on the favorites, right? But Scheffler, world number 1, win into the Masters, first major as the number 1 player in the world, wins it. And Jon Rahm, just a couple of weeks ago, an overwhelming favorite at the Mexico Open, he wins outright. So I ask again, any value here for these guys?
Probably not. I've been wrong, Chris, on those guys enough. I think I just got to continue down that path. It's funny because Scottie Scheffler, there's been no value on him in each of his last 3 wins. And you're right about Jon Rahm, who was 3.5, 4-1 to win the Mexico Open. You couldn't bet that. These guys are so incredibly good, obviously. But when you start to look at a full field event like the PGA Championship, and because we change courses every single year for the PGA, but we get similar setups, you can look at how some of the favorites have fared in the past, and it's generally not all that good. This is a major championship that is much more volatile than its peers in the Masters, the U.S. Open, and the Open Championship. There is usually a bit more randomness involved. I think we're going to see that around Southern Hills as well, the way that they have kind of shaved the rough down around the greens. It's just going to increase the volatility. It's going to introduce a lot more randomness, and I believe that there are better suited golfers that you can get at longer odds further down the board.
And there has been quite a bit of randomness in major winners over the last 3 years. 11 different golfers have won the past 12 majors. Colin Morikawa is the only one to win multiple ones, but your pick to win this is one of those winners, a first-time, only-time winner. Who is it?
Yeah, he could add a second major championship to the resume. It's Hideki Matsuyama, and he has battled injury this year, but when he has been healthy, he's been phenomenal. His 2022 is comparable to some of the best golfers that we have in the world, and what I think is most critical about Hideki's game is two things. He's one of the best iron and wedge players that we have on the planet. So when you get to Southern Hills and you see that these greens are checking in at 5,000 square feet on average, which is smaller than the PGA Tour average, and you realize that all the edges of the greens run off and they are effectively even smaller than that, you're going to have to hit your irons and wedges well. And then if you do miss these greens, you're going to have to be able to get up and down. Well, good thing for Hideki Matsuyama that the two best parts of his game are the approach play and the around the green play. You add that into the fact that he's having the best putting season of his career. He's already won a major championship. There are some crossover vibes to Augusta National. I could go on and on and on. Hideki Matsuyama seems to check all the boxes for this week's PGA Championship.
Coming off a top 3 finish last week as well in that great Sunday round. How about a top 10 lock? And it's a guy who's flirted with major victories each of the last few years.
It's Will Zalatoris, and you're getting a pretty good number on him to finish on the first page of the leaderboard. He missed the cut at the AT&T Byron Nelson last week, and I think a lot of people pressed the panic button, but I saw the opposite. You know, he gained 3 strokes on approach last week. That is the best part of his game. He really struggled with the putter. That, again, no surprise for Will Zalatoris. So missing a cut and playing to your DNA, playing to your norms, that's all good. I have no issues. And Will Zalatoris has told us himself that he thinks his game really lends itself to difficult golf courses and major championships. And he has proven that. He basically earned his tour card via top 10s at major championships when he was a non-member of this tour. So he has been on the first page a handful of times here in the last couple of years. I don't think there's going to be anything different this week, and you're getting a really good number on him to do so.
And you mentioned it, best approach player this season on tour, ranked #1. And with those small greens, that's going to be very important this week. Let's move to DFS. Give us some good buys this week.
Yeah, I've got a couple of savvy vets here. We'll start with Billy Horschel, who's having a great year. I think people don't realize how much he wins golf tournaments because he does it in kind of some weird events like match play, or he does it over on the DP World Tour. But he's won twice in the last 14 months. He finished runner-up with Sam Burns at the Zurich Classic. And while he's not been great in major championships, the PGA Championship is his best major. He's made the cut in 8 straight. And then Jason Day, who outside of 2 bad rounds in his last 3 starts, he's been phenomenal. He's gained a ton of strokes on the field. His short game looks closer to the version of Jason Day that we saw a couple of years ago. He's never going to return to that #1 player in the world form, but he doesn't have to. He's priced in a way at $7,500 on DraftKings to really just go out there, finish T12, make a couple of birdies, and pay for himself. So this is a guy who's not going to feel like the moment is too big for him. And even in some of the years where he has struggled recently, when it's time for the PGA Championship, he finds himself inside the top 10.
And he won this event back in 2015. Let's move on to some good buys. Bad buys. And one of these guys, I said good because I feel Xander Schofley. We talk about him going into every major tournament, and there's somebody, sometimes many people, who think he's finally going to get over the hump and he's going to win because he's flirted with it so much. Why is he one of your bad buys this week?
So it's a couple of factors. One, I think he's priced a little bit too high. 2, I think he's going to be a little bit popular because of what we saw from him at the AT&T Byron Nelson last week. You know, he made the cut on the number, and then he makes a run on Saturday and Sunday and posts the lead during the final round. Now, he was never really going to win that golf tournament because of how easy TPC Craig Ranch was playing, but a lot of people are going to be excited about that. And he has always gotten off to hot starts at major championships, but I'm looking deeper into his advanced metrics for this season, and I see a golfer who is just tour average around the green. I see a golfer who is just tour average with the putter, and that is not what you want to see from Xander Schofley leading into any event, let alone a major championship. And then there's also Webb Simpson here, who I hope I'm wrong about this. You know, Webb has had such a weird couple of years where he's been battling injury, and then we had the shortened season. He's back from injury this year, teed off at the Players' Championship for the first time in a couple of months, and we've just not seen good golf from him in the last 2 months. And I'm not sure we have the version of golfer now that we had from Webb Simpson a couple of years ago, where he was one of the best players from fairway through green. I just don't see it right now.
And Rick, one of the guys that you're going to be targeting is involved in one of the main featured groups this week, and that would be Patrick Cantley, who's playing with DJ and JT in the first 2 rounds.
Love Patrick Cantley. Ignore the fact that he's done nothing at major championships. Sometimes it takes guys a while to crack the code. This will be his 20th major championship. Jon Rahm didn't win his first until his 20th appearance in a major championship. But there is an argument to be made that outside of majors, Patrick Cantley for the last 18 months has been the best player on the PGA Tour. There is an argument to be made that he is the best putter on planet Earth when it comes to these bent grass greens. He has the game to contend. He has the game to compete. He just has to put it all together at a major. And then Joaquin Nieman, also on my list here of golfers to target, someone who faded on Sunday at the Byron Nelson, which was a little bit unfortunate, but he has all the shots that you need off the tee for Southern Hills. He is able to hit his long irons beautifully. He's a great putter. I believe that Sunday final round is going to keep his ownership down this week, and I will buy low on a golfer who has all the skills needed to take care of Southern Hills.
Joaquin Nieman always scheming. He is a golfer to target along with Patrick Cantley, Patty Ice. Rick, before we let you go, give us your best bet of the week.
Yeah, best bet goes back to the guy who's won the PGA Championship in the last 2 years, who's got 2 majors on the resume already. It's Colin Morikawa to finish inside the top 20. And this is just Colin doing Colin things. The last 6 or 7 major championships for him, he's been inside the top 20. He is the best or one of the best approach players that we have on the PGA Tour, and he is getting better seemingly each and every week with his short game. He's getting more consistent with the putter. It's just so hard for me to fathom a scenario that doesn't include a horrible wind or weather draw that Colin Morikawa does not make his name appear on the first 2 pages of the leaderboard, and I'm willing to take that at close to even money.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.